In the small, close-knit town of Riverton, Minnesota, population 4,200, everyone knew everyone. It was the kind of place where doors stayed unlocked, Friday night football games brought the whole community together, and lifelong friendships were forged on Little League fields and church pews. At the heart of this tight-knit community stood two men who had been inseparable since kindergarten, Mark Thompson and Alex Rivera. Mark was the golden boy, 38 years old, beloved high school football coach, devoted husband to his wife Rachel, and father to 10-year-old twins Lily and Logan. He volunteered at the food bank, coached Little League, and organized the annual community picnic. People called him Coach Mark with genuine affection. He was the man who showed up when someone's barn burned down or a neighbor needed help moving. Alex Rivera was his shadow, the quiet, loyal best friend. Also 38, Alex owned the local hardware store passed down from his father. He was the godfather to Mark's twins, the best man at Mark's wedding, and the one who quietly paid for Mark's mother's funeral when money was tight. The two men hunted together every fall, coached the same youth teams, and finished each other's sentences. The town often joked that they were closer than brothers. On the surface, Riverton was the American dream, but beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Alex had been struggling financially for years. The hardware store was bleeding money after a big box store opened 30 miles away. Rachel had noticed Alex becoming distant, sometimes staring at her a little too long. Still, no one saw the storm coming. On the evening of October 12, 2018, Mark texted Alex, "Heading to the lake cabin for the weekend. Want to join for beers?" Alex replied instantly, "Wouldn't miss it, brother." That text would be the last anyone ever received from Mark Thompson. Mark arrived at his family's lakeside cabin around 6 p.m. He built a fire, cracked open a beer, and waited for Alex. Rachel called at 7:15 p.m. Everything sounded normal. Mark told her he loved her and the kids, then hung up. That was the last time anyone heard his voice. When Mark didn't answer texts the next morning, Rachel grew worried. By noon, she drove to the cabin herself. She found the front door unlocked, the fire still smoldering, 2 beer bottles on the table, but no Mark. His truck was parked outside. His phone was on the kitchen counter. His wallet, keys, and wedding ring sat neatly beside it. There was no blood, no signs of struggle, just silence. The sheriff arrived within the hour. Detective Sarah Klein, a 42-year-old investigator with 18 years on the force and a reputation for never giving up, took lead. She stood in the cabin and felt the same chill Rachel described. This doesn't feel like a random disappearance. This feels personal. The search began immediately. Dogs, drones, boats on the lake, volunteers combing the woods. The entire town shut down schools and businesses to help. Alex Rivera arrived at the cabin within 30 minutes of the 911 call, eyes red, voice shaking. He hugged Rachel tightly and whispered, "We'll find him, I promise." He organized search parties and stayed up all night. But as days turned into weeks, the town's hope began to fracture. Whispers started. Why was Alex the last person to see Mark? Why did he seem so calm while Rachel fell apart? Detective Klein noticed something odd. Alex's story about arriving at the cabin never quite matched the tire tracks in the mud. Detective Klein's team worked around the clock. Phone records showed Mark's last call was to Alex at 7:45 p.m. The conversation lasted 11 minutes. Alex claimed they just talked about football. Financial records revealed Mark had loaned Alex $47,000 over the years, money Alex never repaid. Rachel admitted she had confronted Alex months earlier about his growing closeness to her. The town began to split. Half the residents defended Alex as the grieving best friend. The other half started avoiding his hardware store. Alex's wife left him, taking their 2 children. The community that once felt like family now felt fractured. For 2 years, the case went cold. No body, no weapon, no confession. Detective Klein kept the file on her desk, rereading every statement. Then, in October 2020, a hunter found a human skull in the woods 3 miles from the cabin. Dental records confirmed it was Mark Thompson. The discovery shattered Riverton all over again. Alex was brought in for questioning.
He broke down in the interview room but still denied everything. "He was my brother. I would never hurt him," he sobbed. In March 2021, a new detective on the case discovered a hidden bank account in Alex's name containing $62,000, money transferred from Mark's accounts in the weeks before his death. Confronted with the evidence, Alex finally cracked. In a tearful confession recorded on camera, Alex admitted the unthinkable. He'd been in love with Rachel for years. When Mark discovered the affair and threatened to expose Alex's financial fraud at the hardware store, Alex panicked. The two men argued at the cabin. Alex struck Mark with a fireplace poker, then panicked and buried the body deep in the woods. For 3 years, he lived with the guilt, playing the role of the devastated best friend while watching Rachel and the twins suffer. The town was destroyed. Parents pulled their kids from Alex's Little League team. The hardware store closed forever. Rachel moved away with the twins, unable to live in the place where her husband was murdered by his best friend. Alex Rivera was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 35 years. He will never see freedom again. Rachel Thompson never returned to Riverton. She raised the twins in another state and started a foundation for victims of domestic betrayal. The town of Riverton is still standing, but the trust is gone. Neighbors lock their doors now. Little League games feel emptier. The annual community picnic was canceled permanently. People say the murder didn't just kill Mark Thompson, it killed the soul of the town. Detective Klein retired with one final note in the file. The most dangerous killer isn't always the stranger in the shadows. Sometimes it's the friend who knows your secrets. As the sun sets over the quiet streets of Riverton, one truth remains. Some betrayals are so deep, they don't just destroy lives, they destroy entire communities. And some wounds never fully heal.